The Fargo Five. I'm a real person. Look at me. Look, I'm looking at the camera. Okay, now stay engaged. Don't go away. We've got Brin Broughton, who is the director of programs at the Chamber of Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo. Hello, Brin. Now, I gotta turn that on. I'm trying a new thing. I want to stay engaged. Look at me. Look at me. I'm in the camera. I'm here. Brin, tell us about the future. What do you got going on? What's your 10-year plan? This is the part we've already talked about your past.
Yep.
We already talked about what you got going on now, the fun event that you got going on.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? What's next for Brin? So you're only 2 years at the Chamber. You're going to be here another 10 years, or what's after? They're going to change your position title again?
Conrad, I don't know. I have a hard time, creating a detailed 10-year plan, right?
Yeah.
Because then you deviate from it, and you're like, oh, I failed my 10-year plan, right?
Also true.
So I'm kind of more of a not abstract, but I more like to think of areas that I'd like to be in. So
that. Love it.
I would still like to be in a place that offers growth and opportunities.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So a place that will personally and professionally develop me.
Yeah.
Whether that's the Chamber, that's somewhere else. I'm not looking to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I more kind of strive in areas that way, like goals. I want to be making an impact.
Yeah.
So with our Chamber Impact Day and our other programming that I get to offer, I feel like I get to provide something to the community. That's important to me. I'm very driven by purpose and impact.
Yeah.
So I would hope that in 10 years, I'm still doing something of impact
That you're still going in the same direction.
Right, yeah.
And that's so funny. So, because I work more with entrepreneurs, so I think there's almost like a cultural difference between the self-employed and the employed. But I think this is, just talking with you, we have a lot of overlap here. Something I constantly talk about, goals, in the entrepreneur world, they talk about, you got to have goals, goals. And I come out and I'm just like a big contrarian. I'm like, no, goals are bad. Because when you set a goal, when you say 10 years, I'm going to be right here.
Right.
Well, it's almost limiting,
right?
Because it's like you get close to there and you go, well, I wasn't even going to be there for 10 years, so what's even the point?
Right.
So I don't like goals. I like minimums and then just a direction. Which way are we going? And it sounds like you're already thinking in that way. So
yeah, no, I'm a very driven person. So if I set a goal, I'm going to achieve it, right? Or I'm going to try to achieve it.
It's not a goal. It's a minimum.
Right.
Right. I don't have goals. I have things like, if I don't do this, I'm just giving it up.
Right. Yeah. So in that, though, I've noticed that sometimes I get so driven that I'll get blinders.
Yeah.
And I'm not open to the different opportunities or the different areas in my life. So I try to be more open and just kind of go by my values. More so, and making sure that I'm still meeting those values to keep moving forward.
That's great. Values. Values is like the whole discussion. Have you ever thought of being self-employed?
No, I do not want to be self-employed.
You like having a job, huh?
I do. I don't know what I would add.
As a self-employed person, we call it coming in from the cold. I think we all think to ourselves, maybe someday I'll go get a job. I don't know. But okay, so something we used to do on this segment before YouTube messed up with their algorithm is we went onto their back end to kind of try to find what people are searching for on YouTube. I'm still trying to figure it out, their new thing, because they incorporated AI and it's like they're trying to make it better. They're not.
Yeah.
It's harder to read. So, but when I type in Chamber of Commerce, because that's what we are, right? Every town has a Chamber of Commerce, and this is the Chamber.
Yeah, I would say most towns have a chamber.
What comes up is business partner. So what that means is people are looking for I think, what are the ways that the Chamber of Commerce is going to be a business partner for me? So that's kind of my softball to you, that apparently YouTube, the back-end algorithm, is asking us to find.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll even be the title of the clip. How is the Chamber a business partner?
Yeah, I think our whole mission of the Chamber is to be a catalyst for growth and prosperity for our businesses in our community.
Yeah.
And they do that in a variety of ways, whether that's looking at workforce development. I think everybody knows now workforce is a challenge. Getting workforce, keeping workforce.
Well, what's workforce development? What does that mean? It feels kind of buzzy, but what does it mean?
So they have some grants, and this is not my expertise or knowledge, right? So kind of looking at how can we upskill and retain talent in our community, right? North Dakota, Fargo itself, we have like a really low unemployment rate, right?
Yeah.
So like we need to find the pockets that maybe they're working, but they need some training to be upskilled to get them into a new job.
Yeah.
So our team that does our workforce will look at that and providing opportunities for individuals such like that meet that. We do public policy. So really, what are the issues in the policy for our businesses? They'll survey our chamber members.
It's almost like a lobbying group or an interest group.
Yep. So we have a public policy team that will go to not only
interesting.
Bismarck, but also to Minneapolis, since we represent both sides of the river, and kind of advocate for our businesses and what they need, share their experiences. So they do that. We have our events and programs, which are really focused on individuals more so.
Yeah.
So how can we build connections for our individuals in our community, but how can we also grow them too?
Well, I think you guys do a great job of that. I mean, where I met you, and because I say network, to me, it's all networking, because it is kind of its own category of just going out and meeting people. They always say, how do you meet people after 30? How do you make new friends?
Right.
The chamber is a great way to go out and meet people.
There's a lot of opportunities.
Well, because you guys got your business after hours, which is like, didn't you used to do it every other month? Now it's like 4 times a year or something.
Yeah, it's like 4 times a year.
Are you in charge of that?
I'm not in charge of that. No.
Who do I need to talk to get it to be like weekly? Because it is the most fun.
We could do that weekly. It's a big demand.
It's a big pull.
Big pull, yeah. And we have a lot of other offerings of events too, so it'd be hard to do it that often.
So on this show, we do talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and I mention often how Fargo, North Dakota, and the whole area, the whole metro, Fargo Moorhead, West Fargo metro, we are kind of special. I think it's our immigration policy, right? Because you got to be this tough just to live here, right? The winter makes you tough, but I think that also makes us all very independent-minded. So I think, workforce, and I've never thought about it from this angle, but from businesses who are looking to hire people, and not a bunch of self-employed people, but people who need people to work for them, unemployment is really a trouble, huh? Because there's just not enough workers out there, and how do you entice people to come in?
Yeah, exactly. So how do we get people to move into our community too?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or to quit being self-employed and work for somebody else, right? Because you can often have, being self-employed is great because you get to control everything in your life. But as far as overall impact, you can't beat the leverage that being part of a large organization can give you, right? Like a big company, a big organization gives you that leverage. Is that kind of why because you said you like having that impact, is that why probably you want to stay having a job, not be self-employed? Or what is it that keeps you from hanging out a shingle?
I don't know if I have an answer for that directly. I don't mind having a job. I feel like there's opportunity there as well. I mean, I'm a motivated person, but I don't think I have one thing that I would be like, oh, I'm going and I'm going to do this and I'm going to be self-employed. Yeah. But yeah, I don't really have a direct answer for that.
When I don't, when I think about it, people give the usual like, well, I like not having a boss. It's not true. I have lots of bosses. I set my schedule. I am probably in less control of my schedule. I don't know. Who do you suppose has better control over their schedule, you or me?
That's a great question.
I don't know. Do you have to ask people to have a day off? Because I don't get any days off. So
yes, right. But it's never ever an issue usually.
I think the grass is always greener.
It is. There's pros and there's cons, but
definitely. Well, that is all the time for grass that we have. We are going to move on to our next segment, which is frequently asked questions. So don't go nowhere.